So this is Kate from ZStack, and today I'm going to introduce all the different AlibabaCloud ZStack hybrid cloud solutions. And at present, the IT infrastructure of the organization from many traditional industry has been extended from private cloud to public cloud one after another. And the trend covers different sectors, including the industrial and manufacturing, or the government, or the healthcare, etc. So in addition, we also see some of the emerging industry like the internet services or the e-commerce or the online gaming or the live streaming, and the businesses of which being initially deployed natively in the public cloud and showing an increased trend adopting the edge computing and the private cloud in different business scenarios. And therefore, the need for the hybrid cloud technology as well as the hybrid cloud-based solution arise accordingly. And ZStack is being a private cloud software solutions provider originated from the Shanghai of China. It works with the Alibaba Cloud to provide the hybrid cloud solutions to the enterprise and the organizations, and helping them to realize the hybrid cloud infrastructure deployment. So, as mentioned, for today's topic, and it will be the AliCloud ZStack hybrid cloud overall solutions, as well as the technical architecture of the typical application scenarios. So first of all, the Alibaba ZStack hybrid cloud overall solutions is realized by different technology stack. So let's go through them one by one. So first of all is the network solutions, which is based on the dedicated line or the VPN access solution. And the second is the hybrid cloud storage solutions, which is based on the public cloud NAS storage disaster recovery and the backup. And the third one is the hybrid cloud container solutions, which is based on the ZStack Zaku application hybrid cloud orchestration and the publishing system. And the fourth one is the hybrid cloud typical application scenario solutions, which is based on the predefined application solutions template for the container platform, such as the CI or CD, and the business observation, and the log collection or the monitoring and analysis solutions. And in addition, combined with Alibaba security protection system and ZStack private cloud VM instance can provide a security protection such as the vulnerability scanning and the antivirus through the hybrid cloud network architecture. So moreover, and under the hybrid cloud architecture, services provided by the internet will receive Alibaba's network egress protection, such as the provision of the domain name hosting and the DDoS protection and the cloud firewall and the bashing host. And this allows the private cloud data center to save a loss of security infrastructure investment. And the last one is combined with Alibaba Cloud Massive Storage System and providing NAS and object storage capability. And it is very flexible to back up the VM instance of the ZStack private cloud and to the Alibaba Cloud, and subsequently to provide the business recovery from the backup to realize the hybrid cloud disaster recovery, as well as the business platform in the public cloud. So next one, let me go into the details to introduce the Alibaba hybrid cloud network solutions. So in this scenario, ZStack private cloud is deployed in a self-built data center or the third-party MSP host server room. And at present, many career ISPs support building egress network in the self-built data center based on the internet egress network. And in addition, the SD-WAN providers provide a flexible Alibaba dedicated line access solution to achieve the hybrid cloud network architecture. So alternatively, the same hybrid cloud network architecture can be achieved using a third-party MSP host server room by a high-quality dedicated network connecting to Alibaba Express Connect. And it is more important to note that a hybrid cloud network based on the Alibaba Cloud Express Connect requires setting up a routing information to complete the two-way access path. And by implementing the ZStack and the AlibabaCloud hybrid cloud solutions, and through a dedicated line, the interconnectivity of the VPC network services of the two data centers are realized, and the VM instances of the private cloud and the public cloud can be realized a bidirectional access to each other. And this diagram here explains the logical workflow setting up the hybrid cloud dedicated line. And all of you may be curious about how you can apply the Express Connect and a dedicated line on the Alibaba Cloud. So if you are communicating directly with Alibaba Cloud, and you can submit an application through the Alibaba Cloud Console work order system. And after you submit the application, an engineer will process it and complete the construction of the dedicated line. And the connection according to the network architecture of the telecom operator. And alternatively, if the ZStack private cloud is in an MSP data center, and then you only need to apply to the MSP, which will communicate with Alibaba Cloud and to place a work order to complete the hybrid cloud network dedicated line opening. So the next part, we will introduce the hybrid cloud network architecture solution implemented on the internet. Using a mature VPN method, we can use the IPsec to build a site-to-site data channel and to implement an encrypted data transmission at both ends of the VPN. The VPC network services provided by the ZStack private cloud support the VPN IPsec tunnel, and according to the configuration information required for the IPsec establishment, and it is also configured on the VPN gateway under the Alibaba VPC network, and the same encryption algorithm and the negotiation information are configured, and the VPN gateway will enable the successful setup of the encrypted tunnel network. And once the ZStack private cloud VPN and the Alibaba VPN gateway IPsec tunnel is established, and the VM instance on two cloud computing platforms can be achieved a two-way communication. And it is important to note that it is the best practice to configure the matching network bandwidth according to the business needs of the egress network bandwidth of the two data centers. Because, for example, if ZStack private cloud network egress is 100 Mbps per second, and the VPN bandwidth purchased on the Alibaba Cloud is also 100 Mbps per second, and the IPsec tunnel transmission bandwidth can be close to this value. However, if the ZStack private cloud network egress is configured at 100 Mbps per second, and the VPN bandwidth purchased on the Alibaba Cloud is 200 Mbps per second, the IPsec tunnel transfer can only be done at 100 Mbps per second because of the network communication requirement. So for purchasing or opening the right network bandwidth is very helpful for the cost saving as well as the hybrid cloud network establishment. So for the next part is the Alibaba hybrid cloud storage solutions. So let me first share with you some of the background knowledge. Alibaba hybrid cloud storage is a traditional disk array based on the implementation of an hybrid cloud storage system. And this storage system provides different network access models, including the SAN block storage, file storage, and the object storage. And among these, the SAN storage supports the FC and the IceGAS, and the file storage supports the NFS and the CIFS. And lastly, the object storage supports the OSS. And the primary of the ZStack private cloud can support the Alibaba hybrid cloud storage system. And the ZStack primary storage module can be connected to IceGAS or the FC, and so that the data of the ZStack VM can be stored on the Alibaba hybrid cloud storage. And in addition, Alibaba hybrid cloud storage supports the synchronization to the Alibaba Cloud OSS, and which can transfer the data of the ZStack private cloud backup services to the Alibaba Cloud OSS, and which is implemented by the backend of the storage pool, and it is transparent to the data stored in the upper layer. And next, let's explain the ZStack and the Alibaba Hybrid Cloud security solutions. And Alibaba Public Cloud provide the rich security solutions with different latitudes, providing many security services like the internet egress access on the network, such as the instruction detection and the DDoS protection and the SSL certificate hosting. And inside the VPC, it can achieve the features like the bastion host and the database audit and the sensitive data protection, as well as the VM security agent vulnerability scan and the update services. And under the hybrid cloud network architecture and ZStack private cloud data centers are no longer need to worry too much about the network egress security protection. And as the hybrid cloud network realized through the dedicated line can protect the network from the exposure to the internet environment. And on the other hand, and through the hybrid cloud network realized by the Internet VPN, the data access between the private cloud and the public cloud can be also encrypted and protected, and so as to prevent the interception and the acquisition from the intermediate device. And the next part, we are going to introduce the Alibaba Cloud disaster recovery solutions. And there is a massive storage space on the Alibaba Cloud public cloud, including the NAS storage and the OSS storage. And with the Alibaba Cloud's massive storage space and its pay-as-you-go model, the backup of the business critical VM instances from the ZStack private cloud to NAS storage can be achieved. And the backup task and the plan can be achieved by ZStack private cloud backup functions, which can back up the VM instance to Alibaba Cloud remotely. And the next part is the technical architecture for the typical scenario. And this scenario is a very good reference for the MSP and the customer to deploy the Alibaba ZStack hybrid cloud architecture. And different architectural bottlenecks were encountered in this scenario when the businesses were running in the production environment, and the solutions were obtained through the different perspective and the application of the ZStack of the hybrid cloud architecture. So let's look at the private cloud scenario and the fact of the ad hoc projects going online where the resources are not adequately prepared. You can temporarily use the Alibaba public cloud to deploy the resources needed. And with the continuous development of the enterprises, and there's rising demand of the resources for their businesses. And in particular, when the resources demand pattern of some businesses is elastic, and you can use the hybrid cloud structure formed by the Alibaba Cloud and the enterprise to divert some of the traffic to the Alibaba Cloud. And for example, there are times where the enterprises conduct certain online promotional campaigns, and during which a large number of the cloud computing resources has to be prepared in a very short period of time. Enterprises can then leverage Alibaba Cloud to scale up and provide sufficient resources using its pay-as-you-go model. And when the promotional activities has been completed and the demand of the cloud computing resources goes down, can release the resources and scale down. And the hybrid cloud architecture thus is very suitable to cater this kind of scenario with the sudden increase and the decrease of the demand of cloud computing resources. And so, ZStack and the Alibaba Cloud hybrid cloud solutions can also be used in the interconnect different branches through the Alibaba Public Cloud VPN gateway, which is not limited to establishing tunnel with single private cloud, but also tunnel connection with the multi-private cloud. And this showcases the use of public cloud as the central architecture to connect the different branches. And at the same time, when combined with ZStack CMP product, it can support the multi-cloud management. And even if there are multiple private clouds, they can be managed in a unified manner. And next, we are going to introduce the way to host the database near you and apply it on the cloud. And in the organization, already has a large database, and such as the Oracle DB2, and it may have many concerns directly migrating the database to Alibaba Cloud. And for example, there could be data risk or some function may not yet been verified. And in such case, you can keep the database in your own data center, and you can use the elastic bare metal function of the ZStack private cloud to achieve the deployment of the database cluster. And the ZStack private cloud supports the elastic bare metal function, and for the bare metal instances, it supports the elastic volume and the VPC network, and so it can directly adopt the hybrid cloud network solutions to realize communication between the bare metal instances and the cloud services in the Alibaba Cloud VPC. And the database and the log management are retained and in the private cloud data center. And while the application platforms, front-end website, and the in-memory database, etc., can be deployed on the Alibaba public cloud to take the advantage of the different infrastructures. And next, let's talk about the big data scenario. And we know that some of the company or the organizations are now very concerned about the data management of the daily operations, including the sales data or the equipment operation data, or even the campus access or the warehouse monitoring. And it will be ideal if all the data can be saved and retained. And this is a new way of thinking to do the operation management, and where the data is everything and everything is interpreted using the data. And at the same time, we also found that it is very difficult for enterprises or the organization to save such a large amount of the data for subsequent analysis. And there are concerns like how to store the huge amount of the data or the which big data processing platform to use. And based on the ZStack Ali and the Alibaba Cloud hybrid cloud solution, after the hybrid cloud network is built, the data that needs to be saved or analyzed can be uploaded to the Alibaba Cloud, and the data can be saved through the high-capacity NAS and the OSS services. And then the data can be processed by the algorithm through the mass compute. And this is a new approach based on the hybrid cloud solutions to achieve the long-term data preservation as well as the real-time data analysis. So this will be the architecture and the scenario that I would like to present today. And now move on to the demonstration part. And here I have the graph showing the demonstration architecture that I have built in the environment in my Hong Kong's office, as well as the Alibaba Cloud. And we have set up two cloud in both ZStack and Alibaba Cloud. And in ZStack, we have built the environment in our office, and the Alibaba Cloud, we have chosen the Hong Kong region to build the VPC environment. And then in the ZStack, we have built a and installed a WordPress and put it into a VPC rerouter. And in our environment, we have a firewall to control the network in the Hong Kong office. And in this case, we have set two NAT policy. One is the UDP 500, and the next one is the UDP 4500 to forward the traffic to the VPC and to let the Alibaba Cloud Gateway to access to the firewall IP address as well as the VPC. And Alibaba VPN also have the public IP, which our firewall could access to the Nginx proxy in the Alibaba Cloud. And so the data press instance, if it enables the user directly access to the private cloud instance, you may have to set up lots of security protection. In the public cloud, it will be better to put the VM instance because they have a better security policy that you can set in the Alibaba Cloud Security Center. So we have put a VM instance with a low specification and install the Engineer proxy, and then the data from the public cloud network can be transmitted to the private cloud through the Engineer proxy, and the data is encrypted, and we only need to bind the network services from into the VM. And once you have bind the security services from the Alibaba Cloud, you can enable it to the VM that we have added into the Alibaba Cloud. So let's move on to the real demonstration. Let me share another screen. We'll have another screen here showing the ZStack Private Cloud. So here is our portal, and then we log into our portal. We log into That's right. So as you can see here, it will be our dashboard, shows the information like the VM instance, the status of the VM instance, as well as some of the resources like the CPU and the memory. And below here, you can also see the I/O performance of the disk and the network. And for these pages, you can select different zone, but because in this environment, I have only set one zone here, but in here you can select the current zone or the older zone. And also we can customize the dashboard here. You can select which information that you would like to show on the dashboard. Like here will be the primary storage utilization, etc. So the next part is the hardware resources. And for the hardware, first of all, is the computing. That is your host. And we have separated into 3 hierarchy. First of all is the zone. And under the zone, we have cluster. And in the cluster, click into the cluster, we will have several basic info like the architecture and the migration network, as well as the model and the compute resources for this cluster. And also we can click it here, and this is the associated resources that we put into this cluster. And here we will have several VM instances in host at this cluster 1. And in cluster 1, we have 2 hosts here. And we can also see the primary storage mounted in this cluster. And for the below part is the devices like the physical NIC and also the GPU device and the USB device. And below the last hierarchy is the host, that is the server that you put into this private cloud platform. And click into the host, we can see here is some of the basic info like the hypervisor and the CPU type. And here also you can see the compute resources as the same as the cluster. And this one is for the host. You can see there's a core host in here. And the same as the cluster, we also have the associated resources here, such as the VM instance put into this host, as well as the VPC router and the vGPU here, as well as other devices of the host 1. The next one is the storage facilities. It will have the primary storage here. In the ZStack Cloud platform, we support certain kind of the primary storage type, such as the storage, local storage, and the NFS. And here you can see another one is the AliYun NAS and the AliYun EBS. So you can just add the primary storage here and just click into it. We also can see different basic info and the storage usage statistic. We also, the same as the host, we have different associated resources here. And we also got the alarm just to make sure that there's no extreme case happened in this primary storage. We can check all the alarm here. Also, we got the advanced setting for different for the primary storage. Apart from the primary storage, we will have the backup storage here. And for the backup storage, we have set here is for the store of the image. And you can see here, here's the same. There's some of the basic info of this backup storage. And here we can see all the image stored in the backup storage. as well. This is the system image and the volume image. And here we got the rerouter image. It's also stored in here. And as mentioned in the presentation stack, we also support the iSCSI storage as well as the FC storage. And for the next part is the resources pool, which is we have the virtual resources. First of all is the VM instance that you can create as the VM instance according to your needs. So like here, we can click into one of the VM instance. We will have basic info like the instant offering here, the CPU and the memory, and the platform and the OS. As well as underneath here, we have the instant offering that we have chosen to build this VM and the image that we installed in this VM instance. Also, the network resources that we used in this VM instance. And the platform information like this VM is put under the cluster one and the current host and the last host because we can do the migration in the action here. We can migrate to change the host and storage here. And then we also can support the snapshot for the VM instance to support the root volume and the data volume and the memory. Also support the single snapshot or the snapshot group. And here the same, we have the configuration info. We are here in this VM, we have a root disk for this VM. We also attached a NIC card in here. You can see the information. Also have certain kind of scheduled job and the backup data and the CDP data. And this is related to another module that we will talk about it later. It's the backup module. We support the backup of the VM instance and the CDP data. And the next part is the volume. You can see all the volume used in the VM instance. This is the data disk that in the VM instance. So you click here, we also got certain kind of information as well as the snapshot because I've just mentioned we can do the snapshot for the volume. The next part is the compute configuration. As mentioned in the backup storage, we will store all the image in the backup storage. And underneath here, we have all the image that I have put into this environment. Like here, we click into it, we will have the overview of the image. Like the image format is QCOW2 we have used and the bio mode. And click into it, we can see that for the image, we support certain kind of the image, such as the system and the volume image, as well as the image format. We support 4 kinds of format. And also the architecture, we support also the 4 kind architecture. And we can set the platform here, and the operating system here. And we also support 2 kinds of methods to upload the image. First of all is the URL, and the second one is the local file. For the next part is the instant offering, which is the configuration that you preset for creating the VM instance. And inside here, you can set the CPU and the memory. Here you can set for if you like to create a VM instance with 4 core and 8 GB. So you can click it here and set the instant offering, and also select the host allocation strategy with different policy we have preset here. And we also can set the bandwidth and the IOPS to limit the bandwidth for the user usage. So click into it, there will be some basic info here, the limitation on the bandwidth and the IOPS. And similar to the instant offering, we will have the disk offering to preset the disk size of the disk, and click into the creation of the disk offering. We can create the disk size of this, and we can also set the disk bandwidth and the disk IOPS for this one. So yeah, so it's the same. It will have the basic information and the configuration here. In ZStack Cloud Platform, we also support the GPU specification. Like in here, if you have the physical GPU, will show in here. And we also support the cut of physical GPU into the vGPU, and you can do the modification here. And here is the computing resources. And after that, we will have some of the resources service, like the auto scaling group and snapshot I've talked about in the VM instance. We support the snapshot. You can see all the snapshot here, and we'll separate it into the VM instance view. So you can see this VM is called v2v slash v2v and hyphen and window 10. We have a snapshot here, and here we can create a VM instance using this snapshot. And we also support the affinity group. So apart from the resources, it will be the network resources. And we support the L2 network resources and the L3 network resources. In here, for the L2 network, we support 4 types of the network, such as the L2 node VLAN network, and the VXLAN network, and the L2 VLAN network, and the hardware VXLAN network. So this will be some of the L2 network functions that we can modify here. We can choose the vSwitch type and enable the IOV. Click into the L2 network. We can have some of the basic info here, the NIC card here. And then for the L3 network here, we can see that there is some of the L3 network attached into this L2 network. Here's one of the public network, and here's one of the VPC network. And we also support the VXLAN pool. And for the L3 network resources, I'll have here is the public network. You can see all the basic info here, the CEDAR here, and the network services that you can use in this public network. And also the IP statistic, which the IP address that used by the platform. And you can see here 169 is used as the VM instance. And here is the network range. You can add the network range. If you have insufficient network range here, you can add the network range without affecting the environment. Also, we can add the DNS. And here is the thread network, which is similar to the public network. In here is the VPC network. We have a VPC network here. We have similar interface like the public network. So I just go over it briefly. So in here, we will have the VPC router. We create a VPC router and create the VPC network. And in this VPC router, we use a VM instance to do this. And we will have the offering like in this router, it is 2 CPU and 2 gig memory. And click into it, we have the similar interface like the network resources here. And also we will have to upload the rerouter image onto it. So here is one of the rerouter image that I upload onto the cloud platform. Yeah, here. So here is the offering that I've mentioned. We need to set up you need to preset the offering for the VPC rerouter. So here's the network resources. Now move on to the network services. And here is some of the basic network services like the security group and the VIP here and the EIP here. And also we support the port forwarding and the load balancing. And for the advanced network services, we will have the firewall and the IPsec tunnel. This IPsec tunnel is the connection between the ZStack Cloud and the AlibabaCloud that we have set it. So we will next in the hybrid cloud management, we will look into it. And we also support another advanced feature like the route table and the port mirroring. And now move on to the important part of today's session, which is the hybrid cloud management. In the ZStack Cloud, we have a module called Hybrid Cloud Management. And in here, you can see we can see the information like the ECS instance here that we deployed in the AlibabaCloud. And in here, first of all, we need to add the access key here. Then after synchronize the data, we'll have all the information here. And for today's demonstration environment, I have set a VPN gateway in the AlibabaCloud, as well as the customer gateway here. And then we have done a VPN connection between the ZStack Cloud and the AlibabaCloud is the network services. we will have the IP set tunnel here to showcase the connection. So, as mentioned in the PowerPoint deck, I have prepared a WordPress instances here and here is the Nginx instance here, and because we have done the IP set tunnel, so in this case I can turn on the WordPress instance, and then we look into the ECS instance. The private IP will be 110 and 0 and 0 and 60, and I can ping the 060. Then you can see that the connection between the ZStack Cloud and the Alibaba Cloud is successful here. And also for the Nginx proxy services, you can see that the public IP here, you can use this public IP to get access to the WordPress instances in the ZStack Cloud. Just click it here to see that, right? So you can just use the Alibaba public IP to access to the VM instance in the ZStack private cloud. I also want to mention about the security features first before we move on to another module, because we believe that the security module in the Alibaba Cloud has more features than the private cloud, so that in this case we have put our WordPress instances, which is the 124 in here. You can see this is the 124 VM instance. We have put it here and enable the security features, like in here. You can see the information like the CPU here, and also enable some of the security features like the self-protection and the virus blocking here. And we also can get the alarm of the risk status here. So that will be the hybrid cloud module. And afterward, we also have different kinds of module here. So let's move on to the vCenter module here. And we believe that some of our clients is using the vCenter and would like to seek for another alternatives. So in this case, we have a vCenter module and allows the users to add the vCenter here and take over the vCenter in the ZStack Cloud. And in this environment, we have at free vCenter. In here, we have some of the information like the associated resources here, and we have the cluster, and we have the primary storage used in this vCenter, and the backup storage, and the host that we add into this vCenter, and also the resources. And afterwards, we have the VM instance page to see all the VM instance that you deployed in the vCenter. So as is here, we can click into it. We can have the related information and the associated resources, just like the ZStack Cloud did. And also the network resources and the volume here and the image here. And this one is not the same enter one. You have to upload the image here, then it will store in the data store, the backup storage data store, and then after you have add the image into the here, you can create the image VM instance in this portal for the vCenter. Afterwards will be here is the network topology, because this one is the test environment, so you can see that the network topology is quite simple. But if you are a production environment, the networking will be quite complicated. That's why in here we have visualized the network resources here, so that you can see, you can drag and drop to see the VPC in here. You can see we have connected to free VM instance, and move to here, you can have some simple information. Here, we will have another module called backup management, as mentioned before. And we support the local backup server here, as well as the remote backup server. And here, you can see that we support the remote backup and the AlibabaCloud backup here. So for this module, we support the basic backup of the VM instance and the CDP. And first of all, look into the backup job. We will have the overviews of your backup job here. We have some of the details about the VM instance that you backup and the execution time, and also the backup statistic here. And for the next one is the backup job that you create to backup the VM instance, and then click into, just click into it. We can have some of the basic info, and for the backup job, we support different kinds of the backup policy, like the incremental backup and the full backup. Also, we also got the backup cycle. If you want to backup the VM instance like every day in the 9 o'clock at the 9 o'clock, and also got the data retention policy that you can set. And here is some of the backup resources. And here is the job record. I can show it here. And here you see that we have done several backup jobs here, like in the 17th of August, we have the incremental backup. In here, we also got another features is the local backup data. And you can see it is separated into the backup data and the VM instance, because I only have done one backup job, so you only see one VM instance here. And we can see the backup data here, and you can use the backup data here to restore the VM instance. Click into it, and because I have deleted the VM instance into the resources pool, so in this area you can only choose to create the new resources. But if you still have your VM instance in your resources pool, you can override the original resources and also choose the instant offering and also other information. Then you can restore the VM instance. Apart from the basic backup services, we also have the CDP services. In here, we got the dashboard. We have the status of some of the CDP tasks and the recovery task, and also the I/O performance of the CDP, CPU and the memory. And click into it, we have a task that done before, and click into it, we have some basic information. And as the same as the basic backup services, we also can set up different kinds of policy, like the recovery point interval. We'll have the recovery point every 1 minute, and as well as other information. And you also can set the amount of data that we would like to retain in the backup data. So here we will have the backup data to see here. And here is the same as the local backup data above here. We will separate it into the VM instance view and the overview. And here we'll have done the CTP job for the V2V real-time VM instance. You can have the details of the CTP job that you have done in here. Here is the recovery task. After you have done the CBT task, you can recover the CDP VM instance. In here, you can create a recovery task. And the next one is the tag management. You can create some of the tag for your VM instance, because we believe that if you are in a production environment, the VM instance may be a lot. So you can create a tag to categorize the VM instance that you have used. And then for the migration services, as mentioned in the recenter module, some of our users would like to seek for the alternative from the VMware to another private cloud solutions. And after we have taken over the recenter, we can do the V2V migration from the VMware or other third-party hypervisor platform to ZStack Cloud. And here we can set the conversion host first, And we have separated into two kinds of conversion hosts according to the hypervisor. Like the first one is the type is the VMware, and the second one is the KVM type. And after that, you can create the V2V job. So I click into a successful one, and here you can have the basic info. You can choose the source VM. In this is the migration. It will be from the VMware and in the Zone one, and the primary storage is from the data store one. And the destination VM will be put in the Zone one with the primary storage one and cluster one. So, so apart from the enterprise management, we also have the enterprise management, because our client would like to seek for the hierarchy of the organization, because they would like to limit on the permission. First of all, we'll have the role here. We can create certain kind of role here. We have testing to show here. And in this module, we will have the platform role and the project role here. And in here, we can click into the UI. In here, we can see that we can set the permission for all of the functions that you will use in the ZStack Cloud platform. And you can choose if you don't want your colleagues to access to the hardware, you can untick here. And next to review it. So this is the role, and click into it. We can have some of the overview. And here is the UI permission that I have shown just before. And we can also limit the API permission for them. So after creating the role, you will have to create a project here. Because some of the company will have a shared project that includes different kinds of different users. So after you have created a project, like I create a project called today's webinar, webinar BINER. So you have the configuration here. We can set the song here. Yeah, we also can set the quota for this project, like because of our customer, the resources for them are not unlimited, so we have to limit the resources for them. Otherwise, they will use up so many resources which it will lead to insufficient resources for another project. So after create the project, we'll have to assign the user here, because one project may include different kinds of user. And for each user, we will assign different role to them, so that we can limit the permission for them to access to the project resources. And in the organization, we also can set the resources quota for them, so that they won't use up the same. Don't use up lots of resources here. So, and also we also got the setting here. We support certain kind of global setting, but it's quite complicated. We will not look into it deeply. Just showing that we have lots of advanced setting that we can set it here. And then for this one, you can see that we can change the theme and the appearances. So for the theme, we have some of the preset color code. And here we got 8 of them. And for the title, we can also change the title to the one you would like to include in this platform. And here we can also change the interface, login interface, and the platform interface. And so, and apart from here, we also have the license management here. We can see all the license information, like is the upper one is the basic license. Here you can see the license CPU. We have 40, and we have used up 2 CPU. And also we can see the version here. And underneath here, we can have the management IP here. And this environment, I have built a high availability environment. So there will be two management IP. But we won't use the management IP to get access to the management portal. We will use a VIP. So if the VIP will put in one of the management node, and if one management node shut down, it will shift to another management node. So yes, and here we will have the username and the issue date. And underneath here, we will have the base plus license that I have talked about. That is the VM management and the enterprise management. And underneath here, we have the Alibaba Hybrid Cloud management. So the last one I would like to show is the big monitor. Because we see that some of the data center, they will have a monitor outside the data center. That's why we have created a big monitor to showcase the real-time monitoring statistic like the CPU utilization as well as the major resources overview. And in here, you can change it to KVM, from KVM to vCenter to see the resources in the vCenter. And you can also change the zone here. So that will be for today's demonstration. Yes.